Hello everyone, so today we're going to be talking about the new features in Quantum Hangar. A lot of these have been requested by you guys, and I hope you guys like this little feature extravaganza as I sit here and try to explain some of the new content we have. First up, right off the bat, we have these auto hanger grids. This will go through all the grids in your server and check to see if a player has not logged in within X amount of days, so let's say 20, and the option to delete respawn pods. So if you don't want those respawn pods to get sent to players' hangars and take up storage, you can go ahead and check that, and it'll delete it before it gets sent to the hangar. Um, I don't know why you'd like to keep those. I mean, they're kind of useless, but you guys do you. So the next part is the allowing saving of subgrids. Um, Pistons and rotors are included by default. Leaving this unchecked will automatically include pistons and rotors. If you'd like to check this, include connectors and landing gear. Um, So players, I guess, can group up their grids and dock, and if they have several missiles possibly attached to their grids via connectors, this will still include it. The next thing here is this block blacklist. We now have the block limiter plugin. Fair warning, block limiter plugin. This requires that you have the block limiter plugin installed and enabled. The next one is the server block limits, and the same thing applies. Make sure you have the server block limit set up and configured. The next thing is this required currency amount. So this is kind of unique here and up to you guys on how you want to configure it. But we have by block count, per grid, and the fixed price. So what by block count does is you can set how much it costs per block on this grid to save it to your hangar. So 1,000 space credits for each block on a static grid, 100 space credits for each block on a large grid, and small grid, of course, as well. So if you have multiple subgrids here, this will actually recursively add it all up to make sure that you're not, getting cheaped out here with your save cost. This price per grid as well. So if you just like to pay 1,000 space credits for static grids, 100 space credits for each large grid, and of course the small grid as well, that will all add up. So if you again have several small grids, it'll take that into account. Fixed price is still a thing. If you just like players pay a fixed price to store their grids in their hangar, you can still do that. If you don't care for it, you can turn it off. So the next thing are these extended configs tab. So we have hangar singer slot limits. So this will check to see what grids you're trying to save and if it's allowed. So you can say the max blocks and max PCU here. The other thing is you can actually disable static grids, large grids, and small grids being saved, or you can configure them on and off, and the max amount if you care for it. So if you have subgrids enabled and you'd like to limit, 5 small grids for each hangar slot, you can do that. Or if you just like to disable static grids, this will completely disallow you from saving any static grids whatsoever to your hangar. This next is the hangar total limits. This will check to see existing ships in your hangar, and it'll check to see if the grid you are trying to save will not put you over these limits. So you can set max blocks, max PCUs for all grids in your hangar. You can also say the max saved of static grids, large grids, and small grids. So if you like to prevent players from saving more than 50 small grids and put them in their hangar, you can do that. Just type in 50. If you don't care, you like infinite, just leave it all zeros. The same thing goes here. If you don't want max blocks, just leave it 0. I will actually show you guys how that all works here in game after I go through all the configs. So the next thing is this experimental configs. Experimental configs are up to your guys' discretion. I have not tested them completely on every scenario I can think of because there's probably an infinite number of scenarios. I encourage you guys to use these as I've spent a lot of time actually trying to implement these. But the allow saving and loading in gravity, this will check to see if you're trying to load in gravity, and if you're not, if you don't want to do that, you can check that off, but on default, it's going to leave it on. The next major thing is players like to load grids to a surface or in gravity, whatever. You can actually now orientate grids based off of the planet. So what this does is it will find the main cockpit and it'll align it accordingly to the planet's surface. In my testing, I haven't had any problems, but hopefully you guys won't have any either, but let me know if you do here if you'd like to use that. This is great for rovers or small grids who have mainly of their thrusters on the bottom. If it doesn't have a main cockpit, it will try to align it based off the pivot point of the projector. But then again, that's not guaranteed, so make sure you have a main cockpit. The next thing is just disconnect enemy connectors and landing gear. I'm not sure how well this works. It was kind of hard to test it, but if you have subgrids enabled here and you're trying to save the grid and maybe somebody's maglocked to an enemy grid and they're trying to save it to their hangar to steal it, this will check to see if any of those grids are enemies or they're not in the same faction, and it will automatically disconnect that and prevent that player from hangering it. Let me know if that works, if you guys have any more problems with that. All right, so now moving on to the new features in the hangar market. If you are using this, which I encourage everyone to do because this is quite a unique feature, I think that's tied in with my hangar plugin here. So there's now an option to enable cross-server econ. This plugin is cross-server, so if you'd like to incorporate this plugin and go ahead and do cross-server econ and sync players' balances across every server you're connected to, this will go ahead and do that. So fair warning here, when you check this, whichever player joins that, whichever server that player joins first after this is checked, that will now become their balance. It will not add up all the balances in each server. It will just go ahead and set that player's balances right when they leave that server and send it to everywhere else. So I'm not really liable for any lost money caused by owners, server owners, admins clicking this. So just FYI, let your players know. So the next thing is this estimated market value. So this will just strictly estimate by the number of blocks what the grid should be sold as. This is quite a complicated matter. I know people usually go under the market value, but it's just there to give a first and foremost rough estimate for the player to sell their grid as. Now this is completely configurable, so if you'd like to kind of match the grids that are sold vanilla-wise or sold by other players, maybe you're selling them usually lower, you can do that. The second thing this is required for is if you'd like to auto sell grids that are in the hangar. So this is very similar to the auto hangar, but you can actually now set maybe after 30 days, so that gives them a 10-day leeway period before their grids get auctioned off by the server. And so this is a great way of reading that market value of what the server thinks that grid is worth and discounting it. So if you'd like to discount it 50%, you can do that. You can discount it 75%. You can, and that. So this is 55% of the market price. If you'd like to go 100%, which is 1, so whatever that market value is, that's the server will set it as. If you'd like to go free, you can. This will be 0 space credits. So if you want to do that, you can. And then, of course, the auto sell after 30 days. So if you have 20 days here to auto hangar and then you sell it after 30 days, it will get put up on the market. So the next thing is I have worked on this miraculous piece of WPF work is this public offers. And what this is allows admins to come over here and drag in existing blueprints to be sold on the server. We have the grid name here, the price, seller, faction tag, description, all these configurable in this little window. The quantity I'm still working on. Hopefully in the next couple days I'll have a more solid solution out, so you can set it maybe a quantity total. Maybe if for an event you're throwing out 50 of these grids, buy it out fast. You can't, maybe that's a global quantity, and I kind of want to do like a per player, so somebody can't just sit there and spam buy. You can limit maybe 2 per player and 50 total, something like that. And then the also for sale, so if you'd like to keep it in this list for later, all these configs, you can, and you just don't want it up for sale, maybe like I said, it's for an event, you just want to keep it in there. And the total buy, so it'll keep track of how many people have bought this grid on the market. So kind of a unique thing just to keep a counter. So you might be wondering, how the heck do I get my blueprints onto the public marketplace? Well, it's actually fairly simple. Let me open up the folder here. So now in your Hangar directory, you'll see a new folder called Public Offers. So all you have to do is find a grid, which I already have one in here. I'll actually show you. I'll delete it, and then I'll come over here, click refresh. So now it's gone. I come over here. I'll just grab this blueprint. You can put any blueprint in here, any SBC file. Just drag it into your Public Offers folder. So whatever name the grid is, what will be the name that it's sold as. So if you want to rename it here, we'll call it Typhoon. We'll get rid of the tag here. Click that, enter. Now we come over here and refresh the list. You'll see that this will pop up. So this will let you populate everything. Maybe if you don't want to set it for free, maybe 400 space credits, the seller, Bob, seller faction, BOB description, maybe buy this grid because it's better than yours. There we go. We can set quantity if you'd like to go ahead and do that now. Like I said, it's not completely worked out. And or for sale. So after this, after you've set this all configured, just go ahead and update the market. So what this will do for each grid in here, it will update everything. So make sure that everything is set how it is, because it will first remove all these from the market and then re-add them. So I hope that makes sense. And I'll put more in here to show you guys that you can have no list here and everything. It'll go on infinite. So let me show you guys where that is here. Is that the black? Is that market? Yeah. How it works. I see. I gotta update the mod. Hold on. We'll be right quick back. I gotta build the mod real fast. Alright. So I went ahead and dragged in another blueprint here. I'll show you guys how that all works right here. So you can still see we have our old one here. I'm going to rename this. It's kind of a mining vessel. I kind of built it myself. Mining vessel. I don't know how to spell. Is that right? Yeah. No. Gosh. I'm sorry, guys. Don't touch my spelling here. All right. So mining vessel. Again, we can come over here, right? Refresh this. Well, bam! Look at that. Oh, right there. So we can set the price again. 600 maybe. Seller, say Bob again. Seller faction tag, BOB, description. Good mining ship, right? Quantity again, maybe 50 total. Like I said, not working yet. And we'll leave it unchecked so you guys can see. We'll update the market again. Bam. Come over here. Now the block should be working after I rebuilt it. Look at that right here. Seller Bob, faction Bob, price. Well, bam. So now I'll show you guys this if you want to unclick that. Re-update the market. Come over here. Well, bam. It's not there anymore. Except for this. I'll have to figure out how to reset that. But, you know, maybe I should fix that.
A few moments later.
And now just update the market. Oh, crap. Shit.
1 hour later.
So what you can do, you can't change the name here, but you can change it on the file. However, all your settings will be reset. So FYI, whatever file name you want, you can leave it. I'd suggest go ahead and do that right. So the next thing is, if you want to do it again, I'm copying a blueprint directly from my blueprint saves. Make sure you get the SBC file, not the SBC B5 file, because it'll give you an error. Let's go ahead and rename it. Let's say mining vessel. All right. Come over here now. Now that that's in the folder, go ahead and refresh the list. Well, bam. It's popped up. So I think you guys are starting to get it here. Type in 6,000 if you want. Same thing. Let's do ha. And then seller faction. Oh, you can put in anything here if you want to, like, I don't know, like frickin' keen. I don't know. Seller faction tag. Software. Oh yeah, they're an H. Description. We make bad ships. By me. Yeah. Quantity. If you'd like to go ahead and set that again, you can. but it's not working just yet. Of course, I'd like to go ahead and implement later down the line a max quantity and a max per player quantity in case you have some kind of event. And I will show you that you can leave it for sale. Go ahead and re-update the market. This won't do anything. I'll just cycle the block real quick. Yep. You can also then go ahead and click this for sale. Maybe you want to switch it. Update market. Now it's just the mining vessel. I will exit out now, and then you can go ahead and click this. Click update market. Did I do that? I did. Now you should see that both of them are in here. So Key Software House, blah blah blah. We make bad ships. Purchase me. Let me make sure. Do I have room in my hangar? Yes, I do. So I'll come over here, right? I'll purchase this grid. So the thing is here, these are infinite. So I bought this, and there's not an estimated market value, mainly because it's a server sold grid. I guess I could put it in there. That's a convenient other option. Anyways, you can see here, Bob DeRoss just bought a mining vessel. Now this would be broadcasted to everyone. I kind of like that. Let me know if you guys don't, because I can probably turn that to a config. So I can now do hangar list, right? And that mining vessel has been put in here. But if I go back to my folder, where is it? Right here. It's still there. So it kind of just copies the file and puts it in your hangar directory. And I can go ahead and do hangar load 3, load complete. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. So this is like my pimped out little modded mining ship, which most of the blocks are missing because it's modded. I'm running a vanilla server. So yeah, awesome. I'm just going to delete that. Let me show you guys some of the configurable options here when you try to load and save. Let me go ahead and get this back open. So for example, if you'd like to limit the max blocks and the max PCU, and let's turn off small grids. So you can see what happens here. Let me try to save this little small grid here. Here, save. Whoops. No grids found. Is this a bug grid? Oh, wait.
75 years later.
Alright. So now, I will show you guys a little bit on these configs here, on these extended configs. We have the max blocks, and we will disable small grids here, and I'll show you guys what happens when you try to save it. So first things first, let's do hangar save as usual. So you'll see here that small grid is 415 blocks over the max slot block limit. So let's go ahead and change that. Let's say 565. Let's say 600, right? So we'll set that now. Now it should be over that, right? And see, now we can see that we're that much PCU over. So this is what, 8,000 PCU. Okay. Hangar saved, and so you see that saving of small grids is disabled anyways. Can't do anything. Nothing you can do. Now if I go over here, right, enable small grids. So now a small grid is this much PCU over the total, because as it turns out, I already have a grid in there with that ship. With the PCU limit, and you can kind of see that calculation there. So I'll just go ahead and put that back to 0 so you guys can see that it actually will put it in your hangar. Oh wait, I just need to run hangar save, right? Agree with that name is already in your hangar. Okay. I will come over here. I will rename it to 2. Okay. Hangar save. Saving this grid will cost 1,000 space credits. That's because I have a fixed amount here. Where's that? Right here, we have a fixed amount. So there, it's in my hangar. Do hangar list. Boom, it's in there. Speaking of renaming of grids, before I forget, auto hangar will automatically put numbers besides grids in the same hangar. So they have grids with the same name that they're trying to auto hangar. It will go ahead and rename it to that name plus 2. So you shouldn't have any problems with renaming in that format. And I'm probably going to put the same principle in saving the grids as well. And probably a little feedback to see what the grid was named to. That's just a little ease of life thing that I'll probably re-implement because I had to, do it for auto hanger anyways. So yeah, you guys saw earlier that those grids are both still up for sale. The code here has been rewritten on the block, so for you guys who have their own version, maybe an admin placed only block, you'll have to go and replace code for this to work. But let me go ahead and put a battery, and I'll show you guys some of the stuff I fixed. So now it should actively show projectors now, so you shouldn't have any problems. So if I do preview selected grid, should not have any problems anymore with projecting grids. I finally fixed that massive bug on my part, where it wasn't displaying right, and the lag. I know several people were complaining about they were able to spam this and lag, but you can see then that it's not lagging the server anymore, and you can see I'm cycling the projection now, which is great. It's not that fidgety thing where you can't see anything and adjust the scale and roll and everything, but that's all working. What's more to come with this, the same principle of me auto-lining grids to gravity, I'm going to apply it to the projector as well, so we can auto-center grids, make sure they're upright, all that fancy jazz. But I was more working on auto hanger because I know the majority of you guys just use it as a hanger plugin, but hopefully with this new in-light material that I've showed you, you guys will start using the hanger market stuff that I've shown. So I think that about wraps it up, except I want to show you guys the auto align stuff. I thought that was pretty cool and I figured it out. So I'll come over here to the planet, right? We'll come in here. Let me make sure I have that config enabled. I do. This one, I don't think it was working earlier. Just let me know if it isn't. I can't test everything, it's just too much for me. So I'm going to try loading that hanger load 3, the one I just saved, load complete, where to put, right there. So you can see here, it's directly in line with the ground, hovering above, found a free spot, and it orientated. So I'll go ahead and show you guys this again. I'll hop in, I'll point it down, right? Uh-oh. I'll put it on the ground for you guys. Hopefully I don't crash my cockpit while doing, oh, I know I'm going to. Oh, surprisingly not. Okay. So yeah, let's see about this, right? I could do hanger save. Yep, whatever. You'll see that it's still in my hanger, correct. I'm gonna do hanger load 3 again, load complete. There it goes. So it put it even closer to the ground this time because that's where it was originally. And I was closer to the ground, of course. And you can see it got reorientated and put near the surface. Now a lot of you guys, I bet, are greening right now, like, oh, I could probably use this to reset flip rovers and stuff, and you can start telling people to do that. Great for rovers if you want to start selling rovers. If you have a store down here on Earth or something, they'll put it up in the air and it'll slowly drop it. So it first grabs the position of the player. So if the player is actually on the ground, it'll try to find the spot nearest to the ground, and it'll orientate it to that. So, like I said, if there's any problems with it spawning, intercolliding with voxels, just let me know. I can try to work on it, fine-tune it a little bit more, but so far it works pretty darn good. Anyways, and it works for large grids too. So if I get like the big ol', let's see, Man of War here, this thing is just a beast. And I will spawn it in kind of half crooked here. Hopefully it doesn't break anything. Alright. Wait for it to load. Oh, there's a hit. Okay. Here it is, just being destroyed. Here, save. Whoops, over the max block limit. Let me go ahead and change that. So I'll set max block 0. Whoops.
6 months later.
Let's give it that, and I'll show you guys how it orientates all the subgrids as well. You guys are going to get so hard looking at this, I guarantee it. There it is, okay. So it's a static grid. Lucky me, so it didn't crash and break anything. I'm going to run hanger save on it. It's over my freaking block limits. Let's go ahead and go back and set those all to 0 here, because obviously this is a big old ship indeed. I'll do hanger save. Yeah, save complete. Hanger list. So it's number 3. I'll do hangar load 3. And this should be with all subgrids because I do have that config enabled. Load complete. Where's it at? Streaming it in. There it is. Look at that. Auto-orientated flat toward gravity. It still is a station. Lucky me. But if it wasn't, it'd be floating because, you know, its thrusters are down. I can go ahead and convert to ship. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So a lot of you guys, like as mentioned earlier, may have oh, get me out of here. May have rovers or something that you have in your hangar. Maybe you want to use hangar to auto flip your rovers. Re-put it around you. You can start telling players to do that instead of you going around flipping rovers. Another thing is if you're selling rovers, let's say that you have a store set up and you want to save it, and you know, you're using the hangar block and you want to sell a rover here. Another player's doing it, or the server is. You can actually do that. Have a market down here on Earth, different planet. Give it to players, and it'll put it kind of close to the ground. I know that was up in the air because, you know, my player was up in the air. But if I do hangar load number 2 here, I'm on the ground, and it's going to try to put it pretty close to the ground. Unfortunately, that was not very close to the ground there. But then again, it didn't have a main cockpit. So that's just FYI. The calculations didn't do anything because, you know, it didn't have a main cockpit. But I will re-show you guys how that works with the main cockpit here. I'll just put it in straight. Do hangar save. Yeah. Hangar list. Which one did I put in? Number 2. Hangar load 2. So here it is. Where is it? It's right there. So you can see it puts it pretty darn close to the ground. If you have good suspension on your rover, it shouldn't damage anything. The only thing I can think of is steep hills. If you're not around, if you're on a pretty darn steep hill, you know, it might throw it if you have a weird rover. But then again, it's a steep hill. Not much I can do with that. But anyways, yeah, I think it works pretty darn good. Let me know if you guys have any problems with those quote experimental configs. But I mean, you guys saw it. I think it works pretty darn good. This, I'm not concerned. I'm not really 100% or is working. I'll let you guys test it. Let me know what you want changed there, because you know, if somebody goes up there and maglocks to an enemy grid, I don't want somebody to steal it and send it in their hangar. I mean, as an admin, that'd be a nightmare to deal with. So that's the whole point of that. So it doesn't include it. But you know, if you're like a little tugboat, you want to, you know, take your scraps to your hangar, I think that's something a little bit different. Anyways, I hope that surely that kind of wraps up everything that's been done. I don't want to make it too long. As always, let me know if you have any problems or if you have any more features you want added. But I think these configs will help a ton of people already. So, yep. Thanks for sitting in, and as always, don't hit that subscribe button because I could care less if you subscribe because this is a throwaway YouTube account, and it's mainly there for you guys to figure out how to do all these configs, and I can show you guys how it all works. But yeah, here we go.